Seatbelts, everyone! It is time to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy with a little bit of the Magic School Bus. I hope everybody is having a wonderful summer. I am Miss Gunter, and I teach 5th grade. And I am here to read you a nice summer story, The Magic School Bus, Lost in the Solar System, by Joanna Cole and Bruce Deegan. Alright, let's get into our adventure. Hopefully you all know who Miss Frizzle is. It was trip day again in Miss Frizzle's class. Everyone was excited. We were going to the planetarium to see a sky show about the solar system. Now, this book has wonderful facts and information, so I'm going to read a few as we go through. The solar system is the sun and all the bodies that orbit around it, the planets, their moons, the asteroids, comets, and other chunks of rock, ice, and dust. Right. Class, an orbit is the path of a planet or other object around the sun. I knew that. I get all A's. I have 5 computers. My class went to the planetarium last year. What a show off. Thanks for inviting your cousin, Arnold. She's actually nice when you get to know her. Arnold's cousin Janet was visiting our class for the day. I know all of you will be nice to our guest, said the Frizz. Do y'all think they're going to be nice to their guests? We tried to be nice to Janet. We really did. As we got on the school bus, we told her that Miss Frizzle is the weirdest teacher in the school. But Janet wasn't interested. She wanted to tell us about herself. My school is taller than your school. Our swings are better than your swings. My teacher is weirder than your teacher. Who wants a tall school? As usual, it took a while to get the old bus started, but finally we were on our way. As we were driving, Miss Frizzle told us all about how the Earth spins like a top as it moves in the orbit. It was just a short drive to the planetarium, but Miss Frizzle talked fast. This bus is a wreck. At least it started this time. We have new buses at our school. When the Earth spins, we say it rotates. The Earth makes one rotation turn every day. What makes night and day? The spinning of the Earth makes night and day. When one side of the Earth faces the sun, it is daytime on that side. When that side turns away from the sun, it is night. Off to the planetarium, huh? When we got to the planetarium, it was closed for repairs. Class, this means we'll have to return to school, said the Frizz. We were so disappointed. Back to school? I'm so depressed. My planetarium is always open. On our way back, we were waiting at a red light. Something amazing happened. The bus started tilting back, and we heard the roar of rockets. Oh dear, said Miss Frizzle. We seem to be blasting off. Here go again. Sounds like it happens often, huh? Not another crazy trip. Children, we are going through the atmosphere, the layers of air around the Earth. I guess we'll be seeing the solar system after all. My bus has bigger rockets than your bus. Yeah, right, Janet. So, spaceships cannot just fly into outer space. They need rockets to break from the powerful grip of the Earth's gravity that pulls it down towards the center of the Earth. It's the force that pulls us. When the roar of the rocket stopped, we looked around. Everything had changed. The bus had turned into a spaceship. We were all dressed in spacesuits, and we were lighter than feathers. We floated above our seats. I'm flying higher than you are. Look, it's a UFB. A what? An unidentified flying banana? Do y'all think that's what that means? Let's see if we can find out what that means. Far behind in the black sky, we saw the planet Earth getting smaller and smaller. We were traveling in space. We had become astronauts. Look how small the Earth seems from here. Class, notice Earth's blue oceans, white clouds, and brown land. It's beautiful. I think I have to go to the bathroom. Don't think that's good timing for a bathroom break. The Frizz said our first stop would be the moon. We got off the bus and looked around. There was no air, no water, and no sign of life. All we saw was dust and rock and lots of craters. Miss Frizzle said the craters were formed billions of years ago when the moon was hit by meteorites. Meteorites are falling chunks of rock and metal. We are so light on the moon. That's because the moon has less gravity than Earth does. It is a smaller mass, which means it has a smaller pull for gravitational pull. So if you think about it, if you weigh 85 pounds, you could weigh 14 pounds on the moon. It's a big difference. It was fun on the moon. We wanted to play, but Miss Frizzle said it was time to go. So we got back on the bus. We'll start with the sun, the center of the solar system, said the Frizz, and we blasted off. Look how high we can jump. I was in a national jump rope contest. I won, of course. Is there a national bragging contest? Does anybody know what makes the moon shine? The moon does not make its own light. The moonlight that you see from Earth is the reflection of the sun. It hits the moon and bounces off and reflects back to us. We zoomed towards the sun, the biggest, brightest, and hottest object in the solar system. Jets of super hot gases shot out at us from the surface. Thank goodness Miss Frizzle didn't get too close. You should never look directly into the sun, children. It can damage your eyes. You should never drive a bus directly into the sun either. That's good advice. Solar flares are huge explosions on the sun's surface, and sunspots are areas where it gets cooler. just so you know. She steered around to the other side and pulled away. We'll be seeing all the planets in order, class, explained Frizzle. Mercury is the first planet, the closest to the sun. My school is heated with solar energy. I have a sun deck. I have 10 pairs of sunglasses. Give us a break, Janet. I don't think they're making very good friendships at this moment. But do you know how hot the sun is? 15 million degrees Celsius. Whew. And it heats all these planets. Whew. All right. Mercury was a dead, sun-baked planet. This planet is a lot like our moon. There's no water and hardly any air, said the Frizz. Notice the craters on its surface as we pass by. The sun looks so much bigger than it does from Earth. That's because Mercury is so close. Too close. Let's go. Would you want to get out of there? I'd want to get out of there. Before long, we felt ourselves being pulled in by the gravity of Venus, the second planet from the sun. It was covered in a thick layer of yellowish clouds. We will now explore the surface of Venus, said Miss Frizzle. We're gaining weight, and we haven't even had lunch. We will be heavier here than on the moon or Mercury because Venus has more gravity. So, why is Venus's clouds yellow? See, our clouds are white because they're water vapor. But Venus's clouds are yellow because they're made of sulfuric acid, which is mostly deadly. All right. Below the clouds, Venus was as dry as a desert. The ground was covered with rocks. And it was hot. It was about 460 degrees Celsius. That's much hotter than an oven baking cookies. There's no life on Venus, class. It's too hot. It's too dry. There's too much acid. Let's leave. Would you want to leave? Nothing there. So Venus's atmosphere has a lot of carbon dioxide in it, and it acts like a blanket and holds in all that heat, which makes it really hot. Could you imagine living inside of an oven? But when the heat is trapped in the planet's atmosphere, it's called the greenhouse effect, if you didn't know. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else is going to happen. The air was so heavy, we could feel it pressing down on us. Miss Frizzle said there might be active volcanoes around, too. We said, let's get out of here. Our next stop is Mars, the red planet, fourth from the sun, announced the Frizz. On our way, we'll be passing through the orbit of Earth, the third planet. The bus lifted off with a roar. Gotta love bus rockets. I've been to Mars lots of times. Just ignore her. So Venus's clouds can't actually make rain because by the time any liquid comes out of those clouds, it dries up instantly. Too much heat. A lot of evaporation. So we're heading to Mars. As we came close to Mars, we passed its 2 moons, which are called Phobos and Deimos. Compared to our moon, they were tiny and they weren't even round. So one is about 18 miles long and one's about 9 miles long. That's really not that big. Those are moons. They look like potatoes with craters. I think they look like potatoes. Long ago, there was water in those channels, but today, Mars's water is frozen in the polar ice caps and in the channels. Looking down, we saw a huge cannon. Miss Frizzle said it was as long as the United States. That's where we live. That's pretty big. There was a volcano 3 times taller than the tallest volcano on Earth. And all around, there were channels that looked like dried up riverbeds. Ice can be found under the soil. Earth is the best planet for life. That's why I live there. Janet likes to be the best. We noticed. So do you think there's life on Mars? Well, we haven't actually found life on Mars, and there's no liquid water that is present. But you never know what could exist in very small micro life. All right. Okay. We landed and started walking around. Suddenly, a huge dust storm blew up. Miss Frizzle said dust storms on Mars can last for months. They may cover the whole planet. We scrambled back on the bus and headed out. Are there any aliens here? I don't see any. Don't be so sure. Did you know that Mars looks as red as it does because it has a lot of iron in its soil? Lots of that old rusty iron that you see. Mars is the last of what we call the inner planets, Miss Frizzle shouted. Above the roar of the rockets, we would now be going through the asteroid belt to the outer planets. Isn't space travel exciting, Arnold? I really prefer video games. Do you prefer video games, or would you like to travel in space too? So, our inner planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Those are the 4 inner planets that are closest to the sun. Thousands of asteroids were spinning all around us, all at once. We heard the tinkling of broken glass. One of our taillights had been hit by an asteroid. Miss Frizzle put the bus on autopilot and went out to take a look. She kept on talking about asteroids over the bus radio. The largest asteroid is only 1/3 the size of our moon. Most asteroids are the size of a house or smaller. That's still pretty big. Asteroid the size of your house? So, the asteroid belt is between the inner planets and the outer planets, and it's filled with thousands and thousands of asteroids, lots of big house-sized rocks. They orbit around the sun. Sometimes they break apart. Suddenly, there was a snap. Miss Frizzle's tethered line had broken without warning. Oh no. The rockets fired up and the bus zoomed away. The autopilot was malfunctioning. On the radio, Miss Frizzle's voice grew fainter and fainter. Then she was gone. We were on our own. We were lost in the solar system. Kids, I'll meet you later. Come in, Miss Frizzle. Do you read me? That's scary. Now they're on a autopilot bus without their teacher. Most of us were too scared to move, but Janet started searching the bus. In the glove compartment, she found Miss Frizzle's lesson book. As she began reading from it, a huge planet came into view. Class, this is Jupiter, Janet read. It is the first of the outer planets and the largest planet in the solar system. She shouldn't touch Miss Frizzle's things. But this is an emergency. As we approach Jupiter, we can see some of its many moons. Arnold, are you listening? Boy, Miss Frizzle plans everything. Huh, think she knew that he wasn't going to be paying attention? We thought the school bus was going to land there, but no solid ground of land on Jupiter. It is a gas giant, a planet made almost entirely of gas. As we left Jupiter, we wondered and worried, would we ever get home? There's a great big red spot. Jupiter is so big that more than 1,000 Earths could fit inside of it. Miss Frizzle, where are you? Do you think they're getting a little scared? But that big red spot right there is a swirling storm. It's gas, and it has lasted for over 100 years. Long time. The next sight made us forget our troubles. It was Saturn, a gas planet like Jupiter. It had swirling clouds and lots of moons. But the most incredible thing about Saturn was its rings. It was the most beautiful planet in the solar system. There are thousands of rings around Saturn's, class. They look like the grooves in an old phonograph record. Saturn is the grooviest planet, man. So you can see rock, ice, and dust. Saturn is made of materials that are lighter than water. If there were a bathtub big enough, Saturn could float in it. But would you really want Saturn taking a bath with all his gas? Next was Uranus, a blue-green gas planet with faint gray rings and moons. Some scientists say it might be made of chunks of graphite, the material used in pencils on Earth. It's like a big pencil. Methane gas in its atmosphere makes Uranus look blue. You look kind of blue yourself. I'm freezing. That's because we're so far away from the sun. The bus was going faster and faster, and we couldn't control the autopilot. We swept past stormy Neptune, another blue-green planet, 8 from the sun. All we could think about was finding Miss Frizzle. Neptune is the last of the giant gas planets. We're almost out of gas ourselves, and the nearest service station is 4,000 million kilometers away. Whew. How long is a year on Neptune? 1 year. Neptune and Uranus are so far away that it takes 1 year on Uranus is about 84 Earth years. Neptune's year is 165 Earth years. Could you imagine your birthday only being 165 Earth years? Oh goodness, I hope they find Miss Frizzle. We're going so fast, we almost missed seeing Pluto and its moons. Charon is the biggest one, and Hydra and Nix are smaller. We were so far away from the sun that it didn't look big anymore. It just looked like a very, very bright star. Now when we look at the sun, we can see the sun during the day, right? Nice and bright. But it looks like a star as you get further away from it. So, I don't see anything but stars. Another star may have life on one of its planets. We'll have to wait and see. I hope Miss Frizzle is waiting too. Janet flipped rapidly through Miss Frizzle's book. Suddenly, she found something new. The instructions for the autopilot. We punched in asteroid belt on the control panel. Slowly, the bus turned around. It was working. We were going back. Janet really saved the day. I told you she's a good kid. Now, people used to call Pluto a planet, but after scientists did a lot more investigating, they found a bunch of other small bodies that is around it, and they were called Kuiper Belt objects, KBOs for short. And so now Pluto is known as Plutoi and not necessarily considered a planet anymore. So there are billions of stars beyond our solar system, even way past Pluto. So it's a good thing they got turned around. Definitely a good thing. When we reached the asteroid belt, there was Miss Frizzle. Hey, that asteroid's dressed funny. That's not an asteroid, it's Miss Frizzle. Boy, am I glad to see her. Me too. With Frizzle back at the wheel, the bus headed straight to Earth. We re-entered the atmosphere, landed with a thump, and looked around. Boys and girls, we are arriving on Earth, the third planet from the sun. We were in the school parking lot again. The rockets were gone. The spacesuits were gone. The bus was a wreck. Everything was back to normal. Thank goodness. Hello again, old friend. Ooh, I love this. They made a chart so they can actually see all the information of all the planets in one area. There's so much they can do with this. They can put them in order from greatest to biggest. They can do measurements of how far one is away from the sun than the other. So many math questions with this one. In the classroom, we made a terrific chart of the planets and a mobile of the solar system. Another look at that chart. It is an awesome chart. At last, it was time to go home. It had been a typical day in Miss Frizzle's class. Now we had only one problem. Would anyone ever believe us when we told them about the trip? Would you believe somebody if they told you about that trip on a bus? Oh, look. Janet. We went to outer space today. Of course you did, dear. And there was Miss Frizzle floating among the asteroids. What an imagination. My favorite planet was Jupiter. No, maybe Mars. Of course Saturn was gorgeous too. Mom, make him stop. We could have been lost in space forever. Eat your salad, honey. Do you think people believe them? Would you believe them? Now, attention. Do not attempt this trip on your own school bus. Here are the reasons why not. 1. Attaching rockets to your school bus will upset your teacher, the school principal, and your parents. It will not get you into orbit anyways. An ordinary bus cannot travel in outer space and cannot become astronauts without years of training. 2. Landing on certain planets may be dangerous to your health. Even astronauts cannot visit Venus. It's way too hot. Mercury, too close to the sun. Jupiter, its gravity would crush human beings. People cannot fly to the sun either. Its gravity and heat is too strong. 3. Space travel can make you miss dinner with your family for the rest of your childhood. Even if the school bus could go to outer space, it could never travel the entire solar system in one day. It took years for the Voyager space probes to do that. On the other hand, if a red-headed teacher in a funny dress shows up at your school, start packing. Or be ready for adventure. Like my lizard? I hope y'all all enjoyed the story. And I hope you check out some more Magic School Bus. And enjoy your summer and see you when you return.